Okay, this is my 5th time or something recording this intro, so hopefully this one works. Welcome back to my channel. I am super excited for today's video because I haven't done anything like it before, but for the month of December I will be reading Christmas books, and only Christmas books. I haven't read any Christmas books in my adult or teenage years. I kind of just read Christmas books when I was younger, around Christmas time, but I did in fact pick up some Christmas books that I will be reading this month, and I am super excited, so let's just jump right into it. The first book I picked up from my library is A Christmas Memory by Richard Paul Evans. This book, I never read the synopsis or anything about it. Oh, that's super interesting actually. The inside cover has this synopsis here, but then it says continued on the back flap, which ends here, but then there's also another one here. And this book apparently is about a character named Richard, which is the name of the author of the book. So I wonder if it's actually about him, but it is fiction. I don't know. Anyway, I think that this book will just be a really good way to set myself up for reading Christmassy books and really getting into the Christmas spirit. And I think that it will just be very heartfelt and cozy, so I'm excited to read this. And it's super short. It's under 200 pages, so it should be a simple read. The second book that I got is also under 200 pages, but this is The Christmas Appeal by Janice Hallett. It says, one Christmas play, one dead Santa, everyone's a suspect. So this is obviously a mystery book, and it's actually super cool because it's written in play scripts or emails and text messages, it seems like. I'll show you if I can. So it's just kind of different. So I think that this one will be super interesting to read, and I think it'll be fun because I haven't read anything written in that format before, and the entire book is written like that, so it's not just some chapters or some sections. And, well, I think it'll be super interesting. I haven't read a Christmas-themed mystery before, so that will be very exciting. And then the third book that I have is a secret, so you guys can find that out when we get to it later on in this video. And that's probably the book that I am most excited for, and you will see why when we get there. But for now, I am going to start with A Christmas Memory by Richard Paul Evans, just to get into the Christmas spirit. And I will give you guys an update when I am a little bit further into the book. This is not cute. This is not... This was not the cute, cozy vibe I was going for. Oh my god. So, as you saw, this book was not what I was expecting it to be. This is A Christmas Memory by Richard Paul Evans. If you read the summary of this book, you would know that this book is about a boy named Richard who goes through many hardships in a year in his life, and through that he finds the comfort in his neighbor, Mr. Foster, and he kind of makes a new friend in a new city with this neighbor, and we just see the growth and development of Richard through this difficult year in his life. This is not whatsoever a happy book. It is not cute and Christmassy. It does not have Christmas vibes, really. There is some baking, and I'm rating it 5 stars. This book is under 200 pages, and it absolutely tore my soul apart. I hyperventilated for 30 minutes reading this book. In a good and bad way. This story, it's partially true, but it is fiction. So the boy in the story, Richard, is based off of the author of this book, but not all of the events in the story are true, but the characters represent real people, and the gist of the story is still what it is, and the moral of the story, and it's incredibly heartbreaking. And I recommend you read this book right now. And it honestly doesn't need to be around Christmas time. You can read this in January or June. It doesn't matter. You should read this book. I think it's hard for me to rate it 5 stars just because it is so small. But this book holds so much emotion and power, and I think that the topics in this book are very, very important. But I do think that you might want to look up trigger warnings, because there is a lot of death in this book. That's not a spoiler. In the second sentence of this blurb on the inside page talks about some characters or a character who dies, and other big life events. It also talks about divorce and bullying and many, many other difficult things. But I really do think that you should read this book. But I am hoping that this book, The Christmas Appeal by Janice Hallett, is cute and Christmassy, okay? Because it's fiction, but that one was also fiction. But on the back here it does say witty and original and a delight, so it better be cute and Christmassy. Because I did in fact cry at 12:30 a.m. because of this book, which is okay. But it's not what I was going for in the moment, although I loved it and I'm glad that I read it. I am not expecting this book to be 5 stars, but that's also okay. Not every book needs to be amazing, but I do think that this will be super, super fun. I am excited for the style that it is written in, and it says, investigate Christmas letters, examine emails, and pore over police transcripts to identify both the victim and killer before the curtain closes on their holiday production for good. That is what I'm in for, and I'm ready for that. I'm very excited to read this book, and I have a few days until I'm going to start reading the surprise book, so it's a perfect time to start reading this one. And I am going to get started on it tonight. So I read this book in 2 sittings, this book. I read the first 60-ish pages of it, and then last night I sat down to read it around 10:30 p.m. and I read for 2 hours straight and finished the book. I don't know how this one will be, but it's also, is it even shorter than this one? This one has 185 pages, This one had 181 pages, so it's pretty much the same. But I'm going to start reading. I'm super, super excited. And I'm hoping that this gives Christmassy vibes. Also, I set up super cute Christmas lights all over my room, but when I turn them on, it does that like flashy thing on the screen. So that's sad. So if some clips have that, it's because of my amazing Christmas lights. And you're just going to have to deal with it because I love them. And I did in fact turn them off for this clip. So you're welcome. Okay, I am going to start reading this book. I'm really excited for Christmassy vibes. I really am. Ow! That hurt. I have been reading The Christmas Appeal, as you know. And I got 40 pages into the book and started getting a little bit confused because the characters were referencing things from the past. They were saying things like, when we looked at this last time, da 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 da, and I was like, what? When did we look at this? So I googled it, and this is in fact a sequel to The Appeal by Janice Hallett, but the internet tells me that I can technically read this as a standalone, and I'm reading this because it's a Christmas book, not because it's a murder mystery, and The Appeal is just a murder mystery, and this is just a Christmas spin-off of it. So I'm just going to continue reading this, and hoping that it's not too confusing. It's not necessarily confusing right now, I was just wondering what they were referencing, or if I was missing something, because if this was the sequel that I needed to have read the first book, I'm not going to continue. But it says that I can read it as a standalone. So far, it's okay. I'm not invested whatsoever, but it's not the most boring thing ever. So the play, I apologize for the light flickering, it just does that sometimes. The play that they're putting on in this book is Jack and the Beanstalk, and they have a real beanstalk, the huge plant thing that someone's gonna climb apparently, so I don't know, that part's odd, and there's definitely so much sass and people are, what is a word? People are super two-faced. They're saying super nice things to this person and then turning around and shit-talking them to someone else. And there's lots of that going on with multiple different characters. And I'm not really keeping track of who is who. There's so many characters going on right now. And I'm not sure if the first book has the same characters or the same, it says asbestos-filled beanstalk. I didn't read that part. That's funny. I'm going to continue reading this. I don't really have much else to say about it. There's no dead body yet, though. And we are a quarter of the way through, almost a quarter of the way through. So I'll continue reading, and then I'll let you know what I think when I'm a little bit more into it. But that's all I have to say for now. So it is, I want to say a couple days later. Today's December 13th, which is an exciting day for this video, but I'll get to it. I'm still reading The Christmas Appeal. I think I'm around 50% through the book. Let me actually find where I am, because I don't use a freaking bookmark. I'm past this. Okay, so I'm on page 112, which is actually over 50% because there are only 185 pages in the book. 187 pages in the book. I swear I wrote 185. 187 pages, yeah. So, I don't know what age category this book is meant for. I did not find it in the teen/YA section, so that makes me assume that this book is written towards adults, which I am, surprisingly. But it seems that it's written for a younger audience, I would say teens, because of the diction, is that the correct term? And because of how the conversations are flowing. So, I told you guys that this book is written in the form of emails and police interviews and stuff, but there is a part, so pretty much, is the light flickering? Or am I going crazy? So, at the beginning of this book, we get an email from a retired detective or police officer or something, saying to Yemi and Charlotte, saying, this is all of the correspondence that happened during this play. I want you to figure out who the killer and the victim are. And so then we get all of the emails and everything, and just recently, around the 90-page mark, we finally hear from Femi and Charlotte and their thoughts on what's going on. So they're trying to figure it out, and they're just, the way they're talking about it, it seems super weird. And let me see if I can find an example. I'm just going to use this one for example. So Mr. Tanner is the retired detective. It says, Mr. Tanner has only given us the headline, not the newspaper article itself. He must want our response to the material so far. Well, yeah, that seems kind of obvious. And then later it says, we need more to go on. Let's collaborate on an email to Mr. Tanner. Who talks like that? And so, just for reference, this is kind of how all of the other things are shown. I don't even know if you can see that, but I'll try to put a picture on the screen. And so it's emails, and we can see, and then some of them will say, this phone sent this, blah, 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 blah. But then those are the message exchanges, and then there are also emails where it says, like, to this person, from this person, on this date, blah, blah, blah. So the fact that this is formatted this way makes me think that it's an actual conversation in person between Femi and Charlotte, and it's just like, who is talking to their co-workers even like this? I just don't really know how I'm feeling about the book so far, because I assumed that this book was for adults because I found it in the adult section at the library, and so maybe from now on, for the next less than 80 pages, I need to just read it for what it is and not what I expected it to be, which I should be doing either way, but it's just slow and I'm not really caring. We finally, obviously we know that there's a dead person, and we just got to the part where we find the dead body, and we're over halfway through the book. That's really all I have to say. I'm going to continue reading it though, it's fine right now. This is super, 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 super exciting! And this book is the reason that I am filming this video, and I am so excited. I'm so excited. I saw this book in the bookstore and picked it up and purchased it immediately. I purchased this book immediately. And I'm so excited. Christmas Eve Love Story. An Advent book. Stop right there. I'm buying it. So, it's an Advent calendar, but it's a book. So, there's a different... Hang on, I don't know how to show you this. There's a different section for 12 days of Christmas. And so, on the back, I didn't read the synopsis. I just read the very top thing. It says, on the 12th day of Christmas, she found love. Oh, she found true love. So I am going to start reading it today. I think that it's a chapter a day, except this last one is big. But because today's December 13th, that means that the last day will be Christmas Eve. And that's generally how Advent calendars work, so that's how I'm going to do it. I am so excited, and I just noticed that my thing's in. Hopefully, you're able to see this. It's open. I just need to get this other piece of tape off of here. So I did rip the paper a little bit. Just right here. But it's not too bad. So this first section is 33 pages. Oh, and it's 2 chapters. It's 2 chapters. Chapter 1 and 2. Okay. I'm excited. We're going to start reading this right now. And then, after I read those 2 chapters, because that's all I'll be reading of this... Oh, hang on. Can you see me? I'm going to start reading this right now. And after I read these first 2 chapters, because that's all I'll be reading of this for today, then I will continue the Christmas appeal. And we'll see from there. Okay, I'm so excited. Okay, so we've already met Santa and the love interest. We met Santa on page 1 and love interest on page 3. So that's a good start. Is that any better? I finished the first section of our Advent book, and it was actually 3 chapters, and it was 33 pages. I'm enjoying it so far. I think it's definitely cute. So our main character, her name is Annie. She is a window. She designs windows, but I think that means decorating and what is it called? I'm reading the back right now, and it says that, so the first part of the back describes exactly what I just read in those 3 chapters, and then the next part says, when Annie wakes the next morning, she's bewildered to find that it isn't Christmas Day at all, but Christmas Eve all over again. Stuck in a time loop, Annie doesn't know how she'll ever make it back to the present. But despite her Christmas Eve reruns each day is slightly better than the last, and every moment with Braden feels brand new. Luckily, Annie has an infinite number of chances to get things right, and every opportunity to find what's been missing from her life. friends, community, family, and a magical holiday romance that fits her just right. And I was wondering why our first chapter says the first Christmas Eve. I thought that maybe it would be the first Christmas Eve and then 10 years later or something. But it's a Groundhog Day trope, I guess, where she just repeats the same day over and over again until she gets it right. And I'm excited for that. I never read the back of books, but I guess I just decided to right now. And yeah, so the beginning was just introducing our character and our love interest, and I'm pretty sure that it's a real Santa. Literally the second sentence is like, this Santa feels like he could be real. Not the second sentence, but the second sentence about the Santa. But he's just the Santa in the store that is seeing the kids getting gifts and everything. Or he's getting his... It's the Santa that kids go to get their picture taken and ask what they want for Christmas and stuff like that. But he's magical, this guy. He seems pretty magical. And I'm liking it so far. This picture is already starting to make sense. The decorations, I guess. And yeah, I really like that she's a window designer, because it's not a generic or super common job that romance characters will have. Often they're working in a coffee shop or a flower shop or a bookstore or something cutesy like that. And this is a jewelry store, I think. I like that that is her job and that it's not just some cliche coffee shop job, although I do love a book about that. Also, she has a cat. So I'm loving it so far. I'm excited to see what our next section brings. It is much bigger than today's. So I'll probably have 4 or 5 chapters to read tomorrow, so that should be good. But I am going to continue reading The Christmas Appeal now. I don't know if I'll finish it tonight, but I will read it. Good morning. It is a couple days later, but I have been keeping up with my reading. Today is December 16th, and that means that today I read section 4 of our Advent book. So far I'm really liking it. So we are on the 4th Christmas Eve, because as I told you, it is a Groundhog's Day trope, which means that she repeats the same day over and over again until she gets it right, essentially. And so we meet the love interest. Her name is Annie, and the love interest name is Braden. He is a security guard at her work, and so they meet and he helps her set up the window decoration and stuff, because it all fell down and stuff, every single Christmas Eve. And she, over the couple days, she's kind of getting to know her neighbors more, because she lives in an apartment block, and she's just connecting with more people and really getting to know all of them. And so far I'm really liking it. We're learning a lot about the other characters, Braden and the neighbors. There's 3 or 4 of them that she's been kind of talking to, and I'm really liking it. It's super cute and wholesome. There's lots of flirting between Annie and Braden and awkwardness, and it's perfect. It doesn't seem cringy to me. It's not like, you shouldn't have said that. Like, sometimes it's like, oh, you shouldn't have said that, but it's in a funny way and not in a I'm embarrassed for you kind of way. And I'm really liking it. Our next few sections are much shorter than the ones we have had previously, but that's okay. I really don't have much else to say. I'm really, really liking it. I went to look on my Kindle, and I'm not currently paying for Kindle Unlimited just because I haven't been using my Kindle for the past few months for whatever reason. And so I just searched free Christmas books. And this was actually the first one that popped up. It is called Magic and Mint Martinis by Emily Mitchell, I want to say. And it's pretty much just a spicy Christmas romance. So far, I don't know why it's Christmas. Now that I think of it, I'm on chapter 2 or something. Let me see, actually. Chapter 3. I am about to start chapter 3. So, pretty much, the main character in this book, I guess, is a man. His name is Dash, I think. And our girl's name is, I want to say Lexi or Lena. I think it's Lena. Lena. Yeah. And so Lena's sister is getting married, and so it was, I guess, a bachelorette party at this bar that Dash works at. I think he owns it. But he was bartending at this bar, and then Lena came in and they were like flirting with each other. He's super hot, she's curvy. They want to fuck. That's all I know so far. So it's fun. That's all I have. But I'm also reading this Christmas book, just so you know. It's also super short. I didn't want to get myself into some super long book. There is 199 pages, so I'm on page 16. So that's good. I'll keep you updated on both of these books. But for now, I need to go to work. Okay, so I thought I'd give you guys a little update on Christmas Eve Love Story. So today is December 22nd, which means that it was day 10 of our Advent Calendar book. Also, I know you're so crooked right now. I am still really, really liking the story. This book, so not necessarily each chapter, but each section so far. For the first, I want to say 8 sections of the book, each section followed one day of Christmas because, hey. So, yeah, so each day for me was one day for our main character, Annie. But then the last few chapters, the last few sections excluding 10, which I read today, there were 2 Christmas Eves in one section, which I will say was a little bit boring because we are in fact reading the exact same day over and over again, which is in fact the entire point of the book. I am fully aware of that, but it does get very, I want to say abundant, but I know that that is not the correct word. It gets very redundant, which it was whatever. So I'm kind of glad that they did in fact skip those. They went really quick through some of those days in the past 2 sections. And in section 10, the one that I just read, we did not finish the day yet, and it's the 12th day it's the 12th Christmas Eve that our main character has lived through, and we are getting some romance, we are getting some, not necessarily family, but found family action, and I'm absolutely loving all of our side characters and our main character. I love her. Nothing in the book seems super, super cringy, even though we are in fact dealing with magic and time loops and stuff like that. But I'm really enjoying it, and I highly recommend this book for a fun little Christmas read. But also, I don't remember the last time I updated you on Magic and Martinis. My page flipper thingies here, ignore that. But I haven't really been keeping up with this book. I haven't been reading it very often, I mean. I'm on page 34, which is chapter 6, which is 19% through the book. Our main character is a male main character. His name is Dash, which is very Christmassy, like Dasher the reindeer, okay? He's an elf, and his father is Santa. And he's like talking about how he like does something to his ears to make them not look like an elf ears. That threw me off guard. It was all of a sudden like, the man himself, Santa, my dad. Huh? I was just not expecting that going into this book. I thought that it was going to be Christmas themed, but just kind of smutty romance, because that's what it's labeled as, kind of. But he's also an elf, and he's kind of looking for true love, but he's mostly just physically attracted to this lady that goes into the bar he owns / works at. So, I don't know. That's all I got for now. I'll probably update you once I am done. I'll probably finish this book first, so when I'm done this one, I will give you an update, which will be on Christmas Eve, which is in 2 days, which is so exciting. Okay, so it has been quite a while since I talked to you guys. Over a week, I think, actually. But that means that we have passed Christmas Day, which means that I did in fact complete Christmas Eve Love Story. But I'm going to just give you a wrap up of all of the books that we read in this video. So we will start with the first book that I read in this video, which was Christmas Memories by Richard Paul Evans. I'll put it on the screen because I had to return my library books. Is it Christmas Memories or A Christmas Memory? A Christmas Memory, is, as we've said, a book about a boy named Richard who pretty much just recalls a year in his life around Christmas time and the hardships that he went through. It is, in fact, a fiction book, but the characters and some of the stories within the book are true. I rated the book 5 stars, which it seems like a lot for a book that is under 200 pages and it's Christmas, but it was so good. I cried for at least 80 of the 180 something pages there were. It was so good, and I highly recommend it. Not even just for Christmas. It's not a very Christmassy feeling book, but it was so good, and you should read it. The second book that I read in this video was The Christmas Appeal by Janice Hallett. The plot of the story is following a play production of Jack and the Beanstalk, and we just see the communications between people surrounding the play and people that are involved in it. And it's a murder mystery because they're trying to find out who the dead person in the beanstalk is. But we don't even get to that part till like the end of the book. And it was just not very good. I didn't enjoy the writing. It seemed very childish for a book that is not for children, really. And it was just meh, and I rated it 2.5 stars, and I could honestly probably bump it down to a 2. But we'll just leave it at 2.5. Then, the third book we read was Christmas Eve Love Story by Ginny Barrett. This book is an advent calendar. So 5 stars for that just right there. I didn't even rate this book 5 stars. But bonus points for the fact that this was an advent calendar book. So I started reading this book on December 13th, which would mean that I would finish the book on Christmas Eve, which is typically how advent calendars work. You have a 24-day advent calendar. This was a 12-day book, but the last section of this book takes place on Christmas Day. So if you plan to read this next year or whatever year for Christmas, I would recommend starting it on December 14th and finishing it on the 25th. And so when I got to the 11th section of this book, I decided that I was going to skip reading it on New Year's Eve so that I could read the last section on Christmas Day, which was very cute. I highly recommend this book for Christmas. It was super, super cute. I liked all of our characters. I think the moral of the story was lovely, and I rated it 4 stars. So you should probably read this book. It was very good. And then the last book that I actually just finished today was Magic and Mint Martinis. I don't even have it pulled up on my Kindle, but I just finished this book. The plot of this, I never read the synopsis for this book, but essentially we meet Dash, our male main character, and Lena, the female love interest, and we kind of go through their, I was going to say mute cute, but she literally pukes on his shoes, which isn't very cute. But it's a love story between the two of them, and a little bit into the book, once again, this is kind of a spoiler, but I'm just going to say it, we find out that Dash is an elf, and his father is Santa. And it's actually a really, really cute story. There is, in fact, spice, so be aware of that. I would probably say 3 out of 5 spice. I really, really enjoyed it though, and I'm rating it 3.75 just because 4 seems really high. It wasn't the best book ever, but I did cry a little bit. There were some tears, happy tears, but I did really, really like this book. I thought that the connection between Dash and Lena, it was definitely a physical connection, but also emotional, but it wasn't really an emotional book. He just kind of understood her in a way that other people didn't, and I really enjoyed it. Very cute. Although I will say, the only reason this book was Christmassy is because his dad is Santa. And there's like one Christmassy scene. But that, I guess, makes it a Christmas book. And I probably wouldn't read it any other time. But I do recommend the book for a cute Christmassy thing. And it was free on my Kindle. It wasn't even a Kindle Unlimited book. So anybody can read it if you have a Kindle. And I would recommend it for a cute Christmassy book. It was 199 pages, so very, very short and easy to read. But those were all of the books that I read in the month of December, and all the Christmassy books I've pretty much ever read in my life. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you so, so much for watching, and I will see you in the new year. Bye!